Sega has put out its Yakuza spin-off Judgment from Slime the Path after voice actor Pierre Taki admitted to illegal drug use. As reported by Kotaku, investigators arrested Taki after receiving a tip the actor had been using cocaine, and although a search of his property and vehicle proved fruitless, the urine test eventually came back positive. Taki subsequently admitted to using a small amount of cocaine, prompting Sega to halt sales of both the retail and digital versions of Judgment, and issue an apology to fans. It's unclear whether the game will eventually go back on sale, with Sega explaining it's currently considering its next move. For those of you wondering why the publisher has taken such drastic action over a bit of cocaine use, Japan's drug laws are still incredibly strict compared to the rest of the world. Celebrities caught using illegal substances are often ostracized, and in many cases will have their entire body of work removed from public view. Given Taki also voices Olaf in the Japanese version of Kingdom Hearts 3, as well as the Frozen movie series, is entirely possible Sega will be the first of many companies to take action. THQ Nordic will acquire leading Australian publishing partner, $18.25 $1 million in a cash deal. The company made the purchase through its subsidiary Koch Media, and hopes the move will help it expand its global network by establishing a strong presence in the Australian market. THQ Nordic and Koch Media will, through the acquisition, access an established platform on an exciting and growing market, said Lars Wingfors, Group CEO at THQ Nordic. We see great opportunities to establish us on a new market, and, through local engagement, being able to offer the use of THQ Nordic's global channels to Australian game developers. One made point to co-owners Roger Clarke, who founded the firm back in 2016, and Cahn Hewitt will both continue leading the company following the acquisition. News of the deal comes on the same that THQ announced plans to purchase Kingdom Come Deliverance developer Warhorse Studios for $37.5 million. Amy Hennig discusses how single-player games are not dead. There's a growing concern among developers and players that single-player experiences might be left behind in favor of live games. But game designer Amy Hennig discussed how that might be avoided during a recent interview with VentureBeat. Hennig is best known for her work on Legacy of Kain and the Uncharted games, where she developed and fleshed out characters layered and flawed. According to her, writing something that's simpler and more two-dimensional feels dated. When it comes to speculating about the future of single-player gameplays with a linear story and an interesting cast of characters, Hennig is not worried. She writes off the single-player is dead notion and explains that they are just becoming harder to pitch. I do not think anybody would say single-player is dead. Look at the current crop of games. It's just a harder and harder proposition, she says. So why is it becoming more difficult? Time and expectations. According to Hennig, we used to make games in a year. Jak III we made in a year. Uncharted took 3 because we had to build the whole engine, she explains. Uncharted 2 and 3 both took 2 years each. That's unheard of anymore. 3 years is short. Right now you can already see that's a lot more expensive than it used to be. A lot of games are taking for around 5 years, sometimes more. Teams are bigger, the fidelity is higher. There is an apparent requirement, whether it's coming from publishers themselves, or players or whatever, that games have more features and are bigger. As Hennig has said before, she believes that if the FIRSTUNCHARTED were pitched today, it most likely would not be greenlit. the idea of a finite-ish other experience that has no second modes, no online. The only replayability was the fact that you could unlock cheats and stuff like that. No multiplayer, nothing. That does not fly anymore. But single-player games have something special that live games struggle with, Hennig says, and that's Stardew. All of those things I do not know the word I am looking for, but they play less nicely with Stardew. They are less conducive to traditional storytelling, she says. That has a shape and an arcade destination. At end, a game that is a live service that continues, does not. Be sure to read the entire piece over at VentureBeat, where Hennig also talks about literary Easter eggs, her work on the Uncharted series, and more. It's definitely worth the read. Alissa McAloon, at Gliitchy, writes a batch of news stories on Gamasutra. Usually this top 10 game lists end up being more like a complete list of the only games I got around to playing this year. But 2018 was a year of so many standout releases that I had a hard time narrowing it down to just 10. This is probably my third rewrite of this list, because I keep running across more in the margins I played way early into this very long year. Actually, there have just been so many wonderful games and decisions are hard, but for every game I managed to spend some time with, at least 2 have been added to that. I should really play that list I keep neglecting. Cultist Simulator Vampyr Frostpunk, The Missing, and Mario Tennis Aces are leading that one right now, along with Celeste, God of War, Return of the Obra Dinn Gris Below, and a bunch more that I know I am forgetting, and I still have not gotten around to finishing Persona 5 yet. Maybe next year. All of that being said, here is the final roundup of my top 10 games for 2018, revised and finalized several times, legitimately right up into the absolute second before my deadline. Dead Cells has become the #1 game played on my Switch this year, usurping Stardew Valley as the game that was nearly always running in standby and ready for a run-up. Dead Cells lends itself well to the pick-up and play nature of the Switch, like many roguelikes do, but does so with a wonderful level of finesse. Each type of weapon has its own satisfying feel and rhythm, made all the better by the game's vibrantly dreary visuals. Unlocks that further increase the effects and varieties of objects that they'll randomly show up throughout levels, encourage innovation on the fly, but allow you to become familiar enough with those different variables that it's always easy to pick up the gear you need to get that good run and fight onwards toward the next boss area. It's a difficult game, and my first dozen runs had me getting my butt kicked time and time again. But the way Dead Cells handles unlocks and nuclear helps feed into that lovely roguelike idea that you are always making progress and improving, no matter how many times you die to the exact same enemy over and over and over again. Forsaken was the Destiny expansion that brought our clan back together for weekly reset day play sessions. At its core, it has the same activity-rich look that Destiny 1 as the Taken King expansion used to bring dormant players back into the fold. But Forsaken layers that focus on new activities with a captivating Western-like revenge story, some really neat world building, and all-around quality of life changes to make Destiny 2 the most fun it's ever been. One of the best things about Forsaken is the Dreaming City. On the surface, it's just another explorable planet to complete missions and strikes on. But the Dreaming City is unique in that it rotates through week-long corruption cycles with every weekly reset. Those kind of gradual large-scale changes were a first for Destiny, and logging in each week to see the world had changed to welcome the new kind of play where our clan would explore the map to see how the world had shifted and rush to complete missions only available for that week. Drip-feeding activities is a good fit for our Destiny, and the groundwork laid by Forsaken bodes well for the rest of Destiny 2's lifetime. Florence was one of the later additions to my top 10, so much so that I played it in one sitting yesterday morning and cried my eyes out while I was meant to be poking away at an earlier draft of this write-up. The game does a masterful job of introducing its small cast of characters along with their hopes, dreams,